if your friend happens to be the owner of a big tech company, what can you do about that? You're in the same circle. But it's the not being honest about it that has created the problem, because everyone's under the impression that the media is somehow objective and doesn't have any agenda, which I think is just absolutely fucking absurd if anyone really thinks that.
I mean, it's like every agenda has to be like pushed to the surface at this point. Like everybody has to see the dysfunction that's been going on with like media, tech, like all of those things that have been like in bed with one another. And I feel like the other thing that ties in with that is the good old fucking medical system. And like it all, like everyone has to see like the skis like to the surface. And it was interesting because Rob had sent me yesterday this guy, it's like a 5-minute video. I feel like some other people have posted it on Telegram, and this guy shares his experience of getting in a car wreck. He like flipped his car. He
Should we
was
play the audio?
Yeah, well, I can play it if you want to do that.
Yeah, maybe play the audio. This is a pretty crazy story.
This is pretty it's pretty fucked, and it does want to touch on a point that I did also want to cover like a bit deeper than this, and this is kind of like what sparked everything for myself personally. Last night was this, so we'll play like him just telling his story, and it's just gonna be on the mic or whatever. It's not a video, so just listen what he has to say, and then we're gonna I want to connect the dots about some other stuff. So here's this guy's experience with the medical institution.
Hey there, my name is Ben. 2 days ago, I was in a car crash. It was just my car. It rolled. I don't know what happened. I came to, the car was back on all 4 wheels. All the glass in the car was blown out. I got cut up, all around, nothing serious. I was awake and aware that I couldn't open the car door. Within 10 minutes, EMT arrived and injected me with something, and I said, no. And they're like, just gonna sedate you, boss. I woke up 8 hours later somehow with a vent, a mechanical ventilator, IV, catheter, whole 9 yards. I instinctively, without even thinking, pulled out the vent. There was no aid in this room with me. Pulled out the IV. Pulled out the catheter, which was horrendous.
Yep. Pulled out his own fucking catheter.
And I found my shorts, which had been cut off me, and I covered my junk because I was naked. And I walked to the door and I opened it, and staff was sitting there, and I said, "Why did you vent me?" And the staff freaked out. They couldn't believe I was awake. They followed me back into the room. I sat on the bed, and I said, "What drugs did you give me, and why am I vented?" And one of the nurses said, "You have COVID." And I said, even if you tested positive for COVID, if I tested positive for COVID, a vent is the last resort for someone who cannot breathe on their own.
This guy's ripping cigs the whole video, by the way.
They just looked at each other like, what do we do? What do we say? I said, "What drugs did you put me on? What was coming through that IV?" And they said, propofol, fentanyl, morphine. And I was like, why? What? Like, you were going to kill me on that machine. You were going to leave me there. They just looked at each other. I go, I want all the paperwork. I want everything that's been done to me and who authorized it. They didn't give it to me. I demanded a lawyer. I said, I need a lawyer now. I'm leaving this place. They argued with me for 45 minutes. And then once I could show them that I could produce urine, they found some old raggy hospital clothes and gave them, and took me to a door, which was not glass sliding door. It didn't even look like a hospital. This is in Flagstaff. They airlifted me from about an hour away.
So that's pretty much like the base of it. He's trying to get his story out to like people that like Mike Adams or Alex Jones, whatever, people that cover this kind of news, and I mean it's scary, and it just shows like you can't trust the system if you get in an accident. Because, and it was interesting, I totally didn't even really know this, I'm sure a lot of you do, just makes it more suspicious. All ambulance companies are private organizations.
Yep.
That's why they charge so much.
Yes, and that is why. Who can you infiltrate? Private companies. Tell these people what to do. So that's like one thing, of course, that will set people off. You know, that's huge. Like this guy got a vent catheter, was told